So, shortly after the announcement of the new Nobunaga submission game, Hishou, we got an interview article from dengekionline gaming website. The interviewee is Liu, who was the producer and director of the previous Nobunaga submission title, Awakening, and for this upcoming Hishou, Liu-san returned as the producer of the game once more. To avoid confusion as to what info is taken from the interview and what is my own personal opinion, anytime I summarize something from the interview, I will have the handsome face of Liu-san on screen, and anytime I am voicing my own opinion, I will post variations of my favorite reaction images concerning Koei's DLC business practice. I am not going to go through everything in the interview, instead, just paraphrasing and summarizing some key details I find to be informative or interesting, and the order I talk about them is the order of things I think should be addressed first instead of the order as written in the interview. So, with all that out of the way, is Hishou Awakening 1.5? Liu-san admitted that the cost of game development have skyrocketed recently, so reinventing the wheels every new entry nowadays could be rather difficult. So the devs have carefully considered the best aspects of Awakening to carry over and polish further into Hishou. Some of the game elements from Awakening that were said to be carried over to Hishou includes the player only directly controls the daimyo's castle, while the non-daimyo castles will be delegated to the subordinates. But Liu-san also added that the player might intervene and build things within the subordinate's castle if they so choose. But it is not very clear if you can freely customize the non-daimyo's castle too, or if it's like Awakening, where you can give directions for the subordinates to follow. The battle system cannot be revealed just yet, but it was promised to be a legitimate evolution of the battle system from Awakening. Whatever form the battle system turns out to be, I hope that the castle town can be part of the siege battle so it can be damaged and destroyed, like how it was in Rise to Power. The authority system was very well received, and it would be a shame to abandon it after just one game, though how Hishou is approaching this system is still unknown. From just these points, we can have an image that Hishou is basically a refinement of Awakening, but I would like to bring up Iron Triangle and Tendo. These two games on the surface look pretty similar to each other, but differences in its main gameplay mechanics make the two games play very different from one another, so I trust that Hishou would play very differently from Awakening too, but just how different and whether those differences would make for a good game or not, we still have to wait. What is Just Cause and why should you care? The main theme of the game revolves around the concept of just cause, and regarding it, Liu-san got the following to share. The idea for Just Cause stems from the fact that in these Nobunaga games, many smaller clans tend to get easily swallowed up by larger clans in very little time. But in real history, a lot of the smaller clans do manage to survive until the very end of the Sengoku period, and it is not like the period was full of constant warfare. And this is where the idea of Just Cause came from, as the devs wanted to make it so that it would be difficult to hold battle without a valid reasoning. So it's basically the casus belli system from the Crusader Kings series. Elaborating further, Liu-san explained that each daimyo possesses a few traits from 4 main trait types, which you can see them being displayed here during the daimyo selection screen, and the 4 trait types being progressive, conservative, loyal or honorable, and pragmatic. The daimyo's traits will then become the clan's tradition, and if a Just Cause use matches with the clan's tradition, they will give out better influence and bonus effects. The influence value of a Just Cause can be seen displayed in this Just Cause screen here, and the color icons are the types of traits. There are a lot of bonus effects you can have from having a Just Cause matching up with the clan's tradition, but the easiest to understand is a rise in the unit stats and morale. Also, each Just Cause also comes with their own effect, like disrupting the opposition's commerce or lowering their strategy success rate. What I've been listing are mainly for the aggressor side, but Liu-san also noted that Just Cause is not just a declaration of war, but it can also be displayed within your own territory. And Just Cause is a system that the devs came up hoping that it will help the survival of the smaller clans and gave out an example that if a large clan declares a just cause to conquer a small clan, but the small clan has a more justifiable just cause, then they can overrule the large clan's just cause, which I guess is where the influence value of the just cause comes to play here. Like if the aggressor has a just cause with 8 influence and the defender has one with 12 influence, then too bad, so sad, no work for you. The interviewer then continues with a very good question, like if you propose a just cause that goes against the clan's tradition, what could happen? To which Liu San said that the team is looking for a good way to implement a system where subordinates react appropriately to these decisions, but he doesn't want it to become too complex and create a faction system within a clan, and isn't sure if such a system would be a good fit for a Nobunaga's Ambition game or not. I said, why not? To which Liu San added that Nobunaga's Ambition is primarily a game about the unification of Japan, so a faction system would be a bit too stressful. Okay, fair point I suppose. Dying and seeing your empire splitting up into multiple smaller kingdoms in Crusader Kings sucks major ass. Liu San went on to give examples as to how the player can gain new just cause, and the examples he gave being having Ashikaga Yoshiaki, who was an exiled shogun in your faction, and Yoshiaki will give the player the just cause to march into the capital to restore the shogunate, or having Uesugi Norimasa, who was the Kanto Kanrei in your faction, and he will allow you to march troops into the Kanto region. So it is the casus belli system from Crusader Kings. And because of this, titles and court ranks will play a much bigger active role in the game. And thank God for that, as in previous games titles and court ranks are pretty ignorable in my opinion, as they tend to only offer some bonus stats and loyalty, and some troop counts increase depending on the installment. Castle Town customization. One of the selling points of Hishou is the return of the Castle Town customization, which has been absent since Rise to Power in 2003, so the core features seems to have used Rise to Power system as a guide. Surrounding the castle are empty spaces, and the player can build various facilities within these empty spaces. But it isn't a total sandbox where you can build anything anywhere, as each area has different aptitudes to the facilities to help creating different experiences to different daimyo across Japan. Rise to Power already did that though. The facilities have various effects, but they revolve around the core 3 stats of commerce, agriculture, and military equipment. Better commerce leads to bigger population, which would require better agriculture to be able to feed the bigger population. And bigger population also means you can draft more into your army. A bigger population would also raise the level of the castle, and the higher the castle level, the more land you can expand and the further you can develop your castle town. This sounds really nice actually. It seems like a much more organic evolution than Rise to Power system, where how much you can expand the castle town depends solely on your daimyo's rank. And then we have story mode. And why does a Nobunaga's Ambition game need a story mode? If you're like me, then when you heard that the game will feature a story mode, your first reaction probably will be something along the lines of, how exactly is this different from previous games' questlines? To which Liu San said, the story is of mission clearing type, where you have some set of objectives, and after you have cleared those objectives, the next story bit happens. Then the next set of objectives appear for you to clear. Again, how is this different from previous game questlines? Anyway, the story mode is aiming to be around 20 to 25 hours, with many events being depicted for the first time, which includes many findings that were only discovered recently. The total number of events in the story mode is aiming to be around 400 to 500 events, while the usual unification mode would have around 400-ish. In comparison, the largest number of events a Nobunaga's Ambition game has was held by Awakening with over 380 events, meaning Hishou would be very freaking large text-wise, probably the reason why we are not getting an English translation yet. Moving on, the goal for this new story mode is to onboard new players to not just the settings of the Sengoku period, but also to the grand strategy/historical simulation genre. It was a conscious choice to continue growing the Nobunaga's Ambition IP. Sure, fair enough, I can get behind that reasoning. The interviewer asked if there are plans for stories for Takeda Kenshi. Takeda Shingen or Uesugi Kenshin, to which Liu San said that Nobunaga's story is already very extensive, so there's no other stories in the game as of now, but they might consider making more later down the line. Sure, fair enough. The game is called Nobunaga's Ambition, not Shingen or Kenshin's Ambition after all. But if you ask me, a story mode surrounding Mori Motonari would be a lot more interesting than either Shingen or Kenshin. Finally, some miscellaneous stuff. More details will be shared at a later date, but aside from unifying Japan, there will be different endings that can be achieved depending on the daimyo you choose. You can choose to end the game when you reach that ending, or continue with the game until you achieve total Japan unification. This probably has something to do with the ambitions you can see daimyos possess in this daimyo selection scene. Like, for example, Shingen has the ambition of collecting famous imported goods, and Yoshimoto is about him conquering all of Tokai. Finally, per usual, the interviewer asked for the plan about post-launch updates, to which Liu San said something along the lines of the dev team is still considering what could be called a major expansion, and he's not sure if they will continue to be called power-up kit, as the power-up kit were products of its time where a game can only be updated by having a brand new version released, whereas in this day and age, games are continuously refined through various small and big updates, and you don't just release one major expansion, call it a day, and then move on to another project. But at the end of the day, updates and expansions will only happen if the base game sells well. So your local Nobunaga's Ambition Hishou, will make sure that the game will still reach the Western audience despite no English version being announced yet, by continuing to cover news about the game as well as the series as a whole. So be sure to stay tuned for more Nobunaga's Ambition goodness. And that should be it for the video. Thank you for watching, hope you found it to be informative and hope you have a good rest of your day. Bye bye.